It's the Prime Minister gets to choose the government. He clearly will have satisfied himself that that issue has been dealt with.
At the end of the day, it's very simple. The Home Secretary made a mistake.
People deserve a second chance, and redemption is a good thing.
She said that she had made a mistake. She apologised for that.
The Home Secretary made an error of judgment, but she recognised that. She raised the matter and she accepted her mistake.
Was his Home Secretary right to resign last week for a breach of security?
Prime Minister! Well, Mr. Speaker, can I thank the honourable gentleman for his kind and indeed generous welcome to the dispatch box. I look forward to Prime Minister's question time with him, and I know that we will have, no doubt, robust exchanges, but I hope that they can also be serious and grown up. So I look forward to it. Well, he asked about the Home Secretary. The Home Secretary made an error of judgment, but she recognised that. She raised the matter and she accepted her mistake. And that's why I was delighted to welcome back into a united cabinet that brings experience and stability to the heart of government.
What does he mean, therefore, by professionalism, accountability and integrity if he's bringing somebody back into the job who only resigned because she'd made a mistake last week?
Well, as I think the Prime Minister said the other day, the Home Secretary recognises she made a mistake. She paid the price for that last week. The Prime Minister satisfied himself that she can go back into that role. And, as I say, her focus will be about tackling criminals.
Suella made a mistake and she has apologised for that mistake. But ultimately she has very, very recent and current experience within the Home Office. It's clear the Prime Minister wants to make sure that that department is delivering on day one, just like every other department
Did she
government.
display integrity, professionalism and accountability?
Well, yes.
When she just let me remind people, when she sent private cabinet papers to a personal email account, forward them to a Tory backbencher, and then was not fully honest about what she'd done.
Can you name any other industry, any other sector, any other part of Britain that would be even acceptable, let alone be allowed? And why is it acceptable at our highest institution in this country?
So when Suella resigned, you'll remember, Adel, her letter where she said, I've made a mistake. I'm not going to brush it under the carpet or attempt to hang on to my job. I'm going to resign immediately. And she fell on her sword. The new Prime Minister came in and look, you know, we've had instability. We've had governments previously. I've been in politics long enough and you've been around long enough to know it would take months and years before governments change. This happened so rapidly, as I discovered this weekend, which we've just discussed. This Prime Minister looked at the detail and actually he believed in second chances and redemption.
I understand the opportunity for redemption, but when you're the Home Secretary dealing with sensitive security documents, I'd say that possibly you need to spend a bit more time in the wilderness than 6 days after you get sacked for a security breach. I mean, it's been dressed up as if this is some kind of technical breach. Let's examine exactly what she did. She leaked immigration policy and data to a fellow traveller in terms of migration policy using a private email address. I mean, that isn't just a breach of the Ministerial Code. That is her undermining the government for whom she served.
Well, as I said, she admitted her mistake. She resigned. A new Prime Minister came in, looked at the information and decided that he wants to give her a second chance.
What would it do for Rishi Sunak's relationships with the right of the party? He said he wants to reach out in all directions if he got rid of Suella Braverman now.
Yeah, I don't think right-left is a particularly good way of describing the current Conservative Party. There are rather bigger number of groups within the party, but certainly those of us who like free enterprise, wish to see the freedoms of Brexit and to sort out the Northern Ireland problem, for example, are admirers of Suella because that was what she was working on, the legal issues around the protocol in particular, with distinction. And so we would see her loss as a bad loss for the government.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister appointed a Home Secretary who was forced to resign only last week for breaching the Ministerial Code and who boasted that she dreamed of sending vulnerable asylum seekers to Rwanda. We all know why he appointed her, a sleazy backroom deal to shore up his own position. Far from being a fresh start, this is a return to the sleaze and scandal and ghosts of cabinets past. The Prime Minister promised to govern with integrity and humility. So if he has an ounce of either, will he admit his mistake and sack the Home Secretary without the delay?
Mr. Speaker, I was pleased to actually have a call last night with the First Minister of Scotland. It was important that I spoke to her on my first day in office because I wanted to express my desire to work constructively with the Scottish Government so that we can work together to deliver for the people of Scotland, and that is what I plan to do. And indeed, I hope crime is one of the things that we can collaborate on, because he will know that violent crime is rising in Scotland and police numbers are falling, whereas here we are increasing police numbers, Mr. Speaker. But I look forward to working with the Scottish Government on our shared challenges, because I believe in a strong United Kingdom.
Lord Blunkett has now said that security services could be reluctant to share sensitive information with the Home Secretary. Does that worry you?
I don't think that's the case. The Home Secretary recognised that she had breached the Ministerial Code last week, and clearly the Prime Minister has now had a chance to go through this and satisfied himself such that he reappointed Suella to be the Home Secretary.
Why would I, as Swiss government, share anything with Leaky Sue? I'm not going to, am I?
Well, I've just started to say it's absolutely critical, recognising the threats that we do face from Russia, and in a particularly acute way, that we continue to work together around the world, and I'm confident that relationship will continue.
She said in her letter, I made a mistake. I'm not going to brush it under the carpet. I'm not going to try and hang on to my job. I will resign immediately. That's what she did. This Prime Minister, and he dealt with this yesterday in some detail, said that I will look at the detail. He looked at the detail of what happened, and he felt that Suella was deserving of that second chance. And I hope both of you agree with me that people deserve a second chance, and redemption is a good thing. Suella is a very talented Home Secretary. She's got a massive in-trade to deal with, not least with the small boats issue where people are being exploited, their lives being put in danger. We've seen the numbers rise this year. We have a burning platform to deal with.
She said that she had made a mistake. She apologised for that. And you know, the Prime Minister clearly has accepted that apology.
No one in a public service, no one listening in a school or a hospital who broke the rules of their employment would think that merely by apologising, they could be reappointed a week later. Can you think of a single example of that in your normal life?
People make mistakes, and
Can you think of an example in your normal life of anyone coming back to a job they've been sacked from a week later?
So, Nick, people make mistakes in their work. No one goes to work with the intention of making a mistake. And I've said this, to people in the Foreign Office, that no one goes to work with the intention of making a mistake.
She has been Home Attorney General. She's been a minister on and off for 4 years, so she knows the rules about government documents. Yet she sent one to her own private email to someone outside the government and also copied it by accident to someone else entirely. How is anyone supposed to believe she is such a novice that she didn't know exactly what she was doing? And if she really is that much of a novice, why on earth are the rest of us supposed to trust her with our national security? And it's been reported that she sent this as an error of judgment because she was tired after going on an early morning raid. Well, is the Home Office supposed to just block her phone and her emails if she's been up half the night because she might do stupid things while she is tired? And there are suggestions that the Home Secretary was, while she was Attorney General, was investigated for a leak of information relating to the security service. Is that true? The Home Office, the Minister is a former policing minister. Does he think that if police officers breached their code of ethics and were sacked or forced to resign, they should then be reappointed to their jobs 6 days later because they said sorry? Or is it just one rule for the Cabinet and another for everyone else? Everyone knows this was a grubby deal to get a coronation to put party before country. But national security is too important for this.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has made clear that this government will act with professionalism, integrity and accountability. That is exactly what this government will be doing. I cannot comment, Mr. Speaker, as the Right Honourable Lady will be aware, on what the Cabinet Secretary may or may not do. That is a matter for the Cabinet Secretary. On the speculation that she raised, I'm not going to comment on speculation either. The Right Honourable Lady would not expect me to do so. At the end of the day, it's very simple. The Home Secretary made a mistake. She's acknowledged that she made a mistake. She offered her resignation and she stood down. The Prime Minister has looked again and the Prime Minister has decided, as is his decision, that she can return to government. I believe in redemption. I hope the Right Honourable Lady can as well.